I saw this comment on one of my videos and it really stuck with me and became the inspiration for this video. Woodworking is a really fun hobby of mine and you really don't need a lot of expensive tools to get into it. So this is my list of tools that I think you should get and when you should get them in order to get into the hobby. First off, you should get a circular saw. You can make almost every cut with a circular saw that you can with a table saw and a miter saw for a fraction of the cost. Why spend upwards of $500 when you can get this tool for about $50? It even takes up way less space if you don't have the room to get bigger tools, which is another bonus. That's why I have the circular saw at number 1. The next item on my list is a drill and driver combo set. A drill is something that you might already have lying around the house for routine household maintenance. It is not only useful for using screws to hold pieces together, but can be used for doweling to make stronger joints. The third and probably most important and used tool on this list is going to be the random orbital sander. Once any project has been built, you're going to spend countless amounts of time sanding to get a nice, smooth finish ready for paint and stain. The sander can also be used to round over sharp edges and corners of completed workpieces. Clamps may be one of the most important tools you can buy. There are a variety of different types and sizes of clamps you can get depending on the project you're working on. Not only can they be used to hold things together while the glue dries, but they can also be used as an extra set of hands while working. You truly never can have enough clamps. A bonus tool I would get in the first batch is a jigsaw. I would get this tool sooner than later depending on the type of projects you're going to be working on. It's a versatile tool that is great for cutting curves or holes out of solid pieces of material. So for the first batch of tools that you're really going to need to get woodworking, you can get a circular saw for around $50, a drill and driver kit for about $75, a random orbital sander for $35, clamps for $25, and if you're getting a jigsaw, you could probably get that for around $60. That's going to bring your total to $185 to $245. Once you get that stuff, there's a few other things I would get before getting some of the big ticket items. The first one of those things would be a jigsaw if you didn't get one of those already. It's just such a versatile tool that it's really important to have. The next thing I would get would be a router. The router is such a dynamic tool that is really something I highly recommend getting. There are a lot of different types of routers that are used for different purposes. You can create nice edges and profiles to your projects, make cuts, and create joinery to bring your projects to the next level. I would also consider getting a set of chisels. Chisels are extremely useful for cleaning up cuts and even adding texture by hand by carving into the piece you're working on. You don't need to get a high-end set of chisels, just a few different sizes based on the cuts and designs you plan on making in your work. And you can never have enough clamps, so definitely pick up some more. Depending on whether or not you bought the jigsaw already, the second batch of tools you should get is going to cost between $115 and $175. At this point, I would start moving on to some of the more big ticket items. I feel like these are more quality of life items because you can do a majority of the things with these tools that you could with the previous ones. The first big ticket item I would get is a table saw. Most things you can do with the table saw, you can do with the circular saw. However, you can rip sheets of plywood much faster with much straighter results with a table saw. You can also create a series of jigs like a crosscut sled, a jointer sled, picture frame jigs, and a bunch of other things to make a variety of cuts fast and safe. After this, I would invest in a miter saw. Just like the table saw, a lot of these cuts can be made using a circular saw. However, this is extremely useful for making repeated cuts by using a stop block, and you can make angled cuts very accurately and very safely with a miter saw. After getting a table saw and a miter saw, you should think about getting the next few tools on a project-dependent basis. They definitely have their uses, but are not necessary to have. A bandsaw is great for cutting curves into pieces, but a jigsaw can also be used in its place. A drill press would be a nice addition to the shop for repeated holes and for making them perfectly straight for doweling, but the same effect can be done carefully with a drill. If you plan on milling your own lumber, a planer is almost a necessity to ensure all of your boards have a perfectly flat surface. However, you can purchase lumber that has already been milled for a higher price, or use a hand planer instead. As I mentioned earlier, most expensive does not always mean better, especially when first starting out. My advice would be to buy cheaper tools first and upgrade later once you have everything you need. You don't even need to buy brand new tools. You can get some great deals by going to garage sales and even the used tools section at your local hardware store. I didn't cover everything you should have in your shop, but I want to at least cover the basics to get you started. Let me know what you think of my list in the comments and what you would have done differently. Thanks for watching.